All right, folks, it is July 26, 2024, and I tell you what, it's getting bullish out here in the cryptocurrency space. The crypto bull run is underway. It's much different this time around. And something that we missed last bull run was a real XRP pump. We did get a move. It was nice for a moment, but I think the one that's coming this bull run is going to be even more spectacular. I will not go out on a limb and say that we're going to get 2017 returns, but I am expecting this thing to move in a massive way. And I want to talk about this imminent bull run, but we also have to keep in mind this context and perspective of we're probably going to burn it down and correct in a major way before we get there. What I mean by that is, as I've been predicting, black swans and crazy events, correction in the equity markets, real chaos before we get there. And then after we do, no matter who gets elected, the money printer turns back on. You guys know how I feel. I've been very direct. If Trump comes back, we know what's going to take place. Either way, though, the greatest transfer of wealth in world history is underway. And so what I like to do is talk about these current events, break it down, and then talk about the investments, how we can make money, how we can position our business, our families, and get spiritually in line with something, because I've only seen a couple pictures from the Paris Olympics, but you know, we've always said that symbolism would be their downfall. It's now at a point where it's like, do they even care about getting exposed anymore? Like they openly just worship evil. And that's what's so incredible about this moment is our enemy openly worships evil in front of us, mocking us, and those of us who don't have eyes to see. Now, once you have taken the clear pill, once you're awake and in tune and aware of what they're doing and the spell that they're trying to cast on the people across this planet, you start to wake up to it. And then, you know, for me, once you see how far they're willing to go, once you see evil face to face and you confront it, this is what, you know, really makes you inspired. This is what makes you aligned with a purpose to absolutely destroy this evil and get it out of our way. Now, this comes all the way down to that little XRP lawsuit that we've been in for 4 years now that can end at any day now. There's a reason why I feel confident titling this video XRP Bull Run Imminent. It's happening for this entire space. Most of this episode is going to be about how bullish we are for the entire cryptocurrency space, not just XRP. But as I go through this update, I want you to be thinking with XRP in the back of your mind. Because remember, in the rest of this space, nobody wants to mention XRP. It's this dirty little secret. Nobody talks about it, but everybody's got a little bag. Everybody's got a little moon bag. And so as we go through this and how bullish this whole situation is right now for the entire space, they don't dare mention XRP. And even at the Bitcoin conference today, they took an opportunity, a little low blow jab at XRP. Of course, they had to. Of course. I wish that Ripple would have actually sent some representation to the Bitcoin conference. I think it would have been good. The good news for Bitcoin is that through Flare Networks and others, they're getting utility. It's just not coming on their layer 1 blockchain. But the good news for Bitcoin is finally tapping in, a little bit of interoperability. And I think that it's always going to be there. I just anticipate better returns in other assets. But what's good for Bitcoin is good for crypto. And what's good for Bitcoin is going to end up being good for XRP. Just look at all of us in this community that listen to this show here tonight. 90% of us, or probably nearly all of us, found out about Bitcoin first, and then it brought us to XRP. Right? So what's good for Bitcoin is good for XRP. Is it good for the memes? Is it good for the rest of crypto? No, not necessarily. This is what we've been talking about over here, trying to have the adult conversation about regulations coming in to absolutely, pull it tight on and clean up this space in a major way. Now, of course, our regulators are letting their buddies like Sam Bankman-Fried, move billions around and funnel it back through DC. That's okay. Right? We are the late cop on the beat on that situation. That's all fine and dandy. As I'm going to show you guys in this episode too, there's a reason why I put Elizabeth Warren and Stuart Alderati, the chief legal officer of Ripple, in the thumbnail. So I'm going to show you guys what Elizabeth Warren's up to in DC, and then I'm going to show you what Stuart Alderati's up to with Ripple in Europe. And this is the interesting, part about this setup here with Ripple XRP, this global asset. We're being disrespected in the United States. We're being made fun of, even in the own cryptocurrency space. XRP is just this thing that we mock and make fun of. Besides the United States, the growth and adoption of XRP has been exploding. The investments that Ripple has been making, setting up offices in Dubai and all these other cities, Singapore, across the world, right? This new Korea fund, Japan activated. Europe, I mean, we've been flipping switches all across the world. They're now touting 80 countries, guys, in the new, most recent update. 80 countries. And so, despite the disrespect in the United States, we've taken the charge. We've taken the battle back to them. They came after us first. We were on defense, and now we've had to put it on offense. And now we're really trying to apply pressure. As I said in my update earlier, Brad Garlinghouse calling out Kamala Harris and the Democrats, saying, hey, the Republicans are playing chess. You guys are playing checkers. You guys are playing to lose. And you guys need to distance yourselves from the Brad Shermans that's talking about Shiggity coin or whatever the heck it was. Shibbity beep bop coin. What are we doing, Brad? Come on, man. It's absolutely ridiculous, but we know who cuts the checks. For Elizabeth Warren, we know who cuts the checks. And that's the only thing that she has on John Deaton. That's why that's why the Warren camp is in full panic. Now, John Deaton is taking XRP viral. I put out a video earlier today talking about 5 reasons why XRP goes viral. Once again, let's get right on into this update. But while I'm going through, remember this little digital asset XRP, it's going to benefit from everything that's taking place. It's going to partake this bull run. The XRP bull run is imminent. The broader cryptocurrency space bull run is imminent. We need to prepare ourselves now. Jim Cramer says if Kamala Harris is elected, it would absolutely, no doubt about it, be good for the stock market. You guys let me know in the comments down below what you think happens if Kamala Harris gets elected. Specifically speaking on our economy, you think it would fare well? Our markets, you think they'd fare well? And is she even going to make it? What just happened, right? The old switcheroo. Hey, we'll keep you updated on that situation. How about up in Canada, eh? Nations quietly passed bail-in laws in 2017. Governments won't be bailing out banks this time. You will be. The unfortunate part is they've passed similar laws in the United States as well for bail-ins. Have you guys been thinking about the counterparty risk that you're exposed to with your assets as of late? I know we sure have. Now, this is from today. This is Scotiabank refusing customer withdrawals today, claiming a technical glitch. Now, they always got an excuse, don't they? Technical glitch. Systems are going down, and we're seeing it across the board. This isn't just in the banking crisis. This is across the board. We saw the largest IT outage in our history. It's happening right now. What you've been seeing in the movies, on the television, what you've been watching, all that, it's now real life. You don't even have to turn on Netflix. You don't have to turn on the Hollywood anymore. We get to just watch and observe it in real life. And as I said in my opening statements, as they get exposed, it's like they have no shame. They're just shameless about their activities. These people are sick. Now, when it comes to actually getting something done, well, here's our good friend Stuart Alderati, Chief Legal Officer of Ripple. Hey, by the way, guys, if you guys haven't already, please retweet out the space I'm live streaming on X and on YouTube. And I really do appreciate you guys for being here. We're just getting started here tonight. So if you haven't already, if you're on YouTube, let's like it. Let's share it. On X, we can retweet it. Let's get the word out. Let everybody know we are live for the night. Now, this is the European University Institute. Our good friend Stuart Alderati, Chief Legal Officer of Ripple, speaking here. In this episode of One Issue at a Time, Stuart Alderati is breaking down crypto asset regulation while the U.S. lags behind. Could the EU hold the key to unlocking the new regulatory framework that the crypto sector needs? Here we go.
So I think when it comes to regulating new technology, it's important that you don't regulate the technology because policymakers will never move as quickly as the technology is developing, and policymakers will never fully understand the technology. So I think it's important to look at the activity and the outcomes of the application of the technology. And what are the risks of the activity and the outcomes of the application of the technology? And that's what we should be regulating. Same risk, same regulatory outcomes. So again, if you're dealing with crypto, you have crypto intermediaries, you have crypto innovators, you have crypto software developers. What are they doing? What's the risk that they are creating? And how do we solve for the risks through policymaking rather than trying to get into the technology itself and regulate the technology? So I think when it comes...
So the adults in the room are speaking. I'm about to show you guys the Bitcoin conference. Well, you know, we can call them adults, I guess. Interesting little conference there that they're having. I'm glad that they're having a good time. I like in-person meetups. That's always a good time. We have some good times in the XRP community. But what you just saw was Stuart Aderati out in Europe. These guys are setting the standard. These guys are going to be put and placed within the White House. Mark my words. We already have seen the rotation, the revolving door with Ripple and government agencies and the largest institutions across the world. Now, we see Stuart Aderati out in Europe and they get the red carpet treatment. They've already flipped the switch on France and Sweden and Europe for on-demand liquidity. We know that Bank of England was one of the first Ripple partners, one of the first central banks that actually partnered up with Ripple. Those ties go back very deep. And then we look across the pond here in the United States of America, and we have Senator Elizabeth Warren continues her attack on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, this time raising concerns about foreign-owned cryptocurrency miners in the U.S., suggesting they could be used by adversaries to spy on military bases, disrupt the power grid, or move money secretly. Now, I'd seen somebody in the comments, and they said something along the lines of, so the CCP can't use crypto, and we're worried about them owning cryptocurrency miners in the U.S., but they can buy every other piece of property and own, all sorts of other assets, but we're worried about them owning crypto, right? The scapegoat of crypto, Elizabeth Warren, continues to come back to this one. At a banking hearing of the Senate Committee in Congress, Warren called for stronger anti-money laundering protections to prevent these operations from undermining U.S. national security. Warren highlighted that a significant portion of these mines are owned by Chinese nationals, including those with ties to the Chinese government. Oh boy. Hey, you want to talk about ties to that government? I don't even want to say that word again, that country again. I don't like to talk about that country other than in code. But if you want to talk about some ties to that country, boy, do we have a red folder or two for you, Elizabeth Warren? Step on up. We'd love to have this conversation. Oh, you want to talk about, I'm just going to seal up my lips right now before I get into it. You want to talk about what's going on in this country? Let's have that conversation. She also pointed out the environmental impact of crypto mining and the potential for these facilities to cause targeted blackouts and cyber attacks. Warren's stance is part of her broader campaign to regulate the crypto industry. It's part of controlling, right? This is what it's all about for these folks. These people are obsessed with having control over our population and in every aspect of our lives too. This is really incredible that one of the most basic principles that we should all be getting behind. This is not political. I don't understand why it is, other than that these folks are bought and paid for. The Brad Shermans, the Elizabeth Warrens, and folks on both sides of the aisle too. I've talked about this. This is not a Democrat issue exclusively. There's also banker shills in the Republicans, right? So this is, influence in our politics that now has them suggesting just absurd things like the ability to stop us from being able to self-custody. I mean, can we not hold our own cash? Can we not hold our own silver? I mean, where are we going with this conversation? Whether it's in digital, whether it's in physical, I should be able to own commonly traded asset. I mean, what are we talking about here? Other than we have a precedent in our country of them confiscating the gold. As I just showed you up in Canada, they changed the rules for bail-ins. They did the same thing in the United States. And so what are we supposed to do here? We're trying to escape from counterparty risk when the whole system's burning down. And are we not allowed to self-custody our silver? Are we not allowed to self-custody our crypto? Are we not allowed to grow a garden? We're not allowed to collect rainwater? Oh, wait, these are all things that they're actually pushing for. Now, the good news is that they're losing. They're losing in a massive way. They're putting on a master class of how to lose an election. And this is an issue, sound money. utility with no counterparty risk. This is an issue that we should all be getting together behind. From both sides, every belief, every background, every creed, we should all be getting behind crypto and sound money in regards to gold and silver too. Now, I'm going to make a separate video and I'm going to be talking about the big short guys. So this is the big short week. And I have seen them on CNBC all week. And you got Steve Eisman, you got a few of the other guys as well too. You don't have Michael Burry. Michael Burry's not on there. It's the Steve Carell's hedge fund. Those guys, they're now at different funds, but they are still, in the markets. And so CNBC had them on, and it was incredible. They were long Bitcoin. They were holding Bitcoin, but they were shorting MicroStrategy. And he said that they were doing that as a hedge. And so they closed out their short position on MicroStrategy because Bitcoin just kept going up and they were losing on their MicroStrategy short. But the good news is that they just held on to their Bitcoin and they rode up those gains. But then the other big thesis that they had was gold, right? And they were specifically talking about how countries, outside the West, outside the United States, are trying to repatriate their gold. Now, this is something that's just been in like the gold bug community, right? This is like gold bug wacko stuff, kind of like we were crazies in the XRP community too, right? This whole BRICS conversation, de-dollarization, now it's popular. Now it's a hot topic. Now mainstream media. Now the big short guys are admitting, yeah, we've positioned ourselves accordingly. Yeah, we're long Bitcoin. Yeah, we're long gold. We were shorting MicroStrategy, which is a pretty good strategy actually. MicroStrategy, we're yet to see what happens here. I'm going to play what Michael Saylor was saying at the Bitcoin conference here next. But before we get there, this is why the crypto bull run is imminent. The XRP bull run is imminent as it's perfectly positioned. But we are watching as presidential candidates are now suggesting that the United States should start buying huge amounts of Bitcoin and work towards acquiring 4 million Bitcoin. This is Robert Kennedy Jr. speaking today at the Bitcoin conference. He's warming up that stage for Donald Trump, isn't he? He says that he will sign an executive order for the U.S. to buy 550 Bitcoin a day until they build a reserve of 4 million Bitcoin if elected president. Now, Robert Kennedy has no chance of winning this election, unfortunately. Now, but let me be very clear. I have tremendous respect for what he's been saying, and I love that he's saying this. Even though I'm not a Bitcoin fan, I'm a fan that he's saying this and the other things that he's saying, because what he's adding to the political rhetoric in this country is incredibly valuable. So let me just front run this by saying that I have the most respect for Robert Kennedy Jr. RFK Jr., tremendous respect. But here's the facts, right? Is he doesn't have a chance of winning, and it's actually I think a big mistake that the Democrats haven't leaned in. That they really missed an opportunity, I think, on this one. But nonetheless, to come and make this claim at the conference, it's a bold claim. What does it mean if he really doesn't stand a chance of getting elected? Well, it's just a statement. It garners a lot of attention. But he did put his money where his mouth is, if we can take him on his word. He's saying that he went basically all in, and that he's a believer on Bitcoin now. Right? He said that most of his wealth is in Bitcoin. And then today he comes out and says that the United States should start buying Bitcoin. Perception is reality in these markets, and specifically in crypto. It's unbelievable. Just the fact that a presidential candidate is adding this to the conversation changes the whole direction of crypto going forward. Now, this is part of a broader story, but you can start to see it's accelerating at this point right now. So the destruction, the controlled demolition, the reset is accelerating, but the answer is starting to reveal itself, not just to us who have understood this stuff going back for a long time, but for the masses that are finally starting to realize, oh, what's this crypto thing? And I'll show you this too. He took it one step further. He says that he would sign 4 executive orders related to Bitcoin on day 1 of being president. Now, you guys let me know in the comments what you think about this. This is bullish. This is so bullish. Even though, not a good chance of getting elected, this is so great for our entire space. Pledges 4 executive orders related to Bitcoin on day 1 as president. Number 1, I will sign an executive order directing the U.S. Treasury to purchase 500 Bitcoin daily until the U.S. has built a reserve of at least 4 million Bitcoin. Now, that's a significant percentage of the supply, right? I mean, I was just talking about supply in the last episode. It's at like 19.7 million, right? That's incredible. Executive order number 2. He says, I will sign an executive order directing the Department of Justice and the U.S. Marshals to transfer the approximate 200,000 Bitcoin held by the U.S. government to the U.S. Treasury, where it will be held as a strategic asset. Now, that would be big if somebody actually did that. If they actually said, hey, the Bitcoin that we have, we're going to hold, well, that would be bullish. Who's actually going to do that, though? Right? Or are they going to plan on dumping all of it like they have been doing? Right? And by the way, they just finished. The Mt. Gox deal is basically done. There was a few exchanges like Bitstamp and others. They were holding it up, checking identities, making everybody, of course, the exchange is always finding a reason, right? Not letting them withdraw or sell off the Bitcoin, right? Checking ID, checking KYC again. Sure. It's all finally done now from what I can find out. All of the Mt. Gox Bitcoin has been distributed. So we'll see what kind of sell pressure we get from that. I'm watching this very closely right now, though. If we can get a bump above 70,000 before Trump takes the stage, one last hurrah, but I firmly believe that we're about to correct after Trump starts speaking or shortly before. We just got another rally back up here to 68,000 Bitcoin today, right? We were down at 60. How low did we went to 63? That's right. 63.5. 63.5 on Thursday yesterday. Here we are late night Friday. I'm recording this at 8 p.m. on the West Coast. That's 11 o'clock Eastern, late night session. So we already have the Saturday, July 27th candle is what you're looking at right here. We traded back up to 68,000 though. And the potential for us to do a little double top move here and then correct is what I'm expecting. This is why I've had the vertical line here on my chart, is because this was yesterday, the start of the Bitcoin conference. Today, Robert Kennedy speaks and he gets us all bullish. Yesterday, he said he was all in. Today, he releases his strategy for the executive orders. But what I'm about to show you next is where this really gets exciting. This is where this conversation really starts to get good. Executive Order 3 is, I will sign an executive order directing the IRS to issue public guidelines that all transactions between Bitcoin and the US dollar are unreportable transactions and by extension, non-taxable. This is what we need right here. To acknowledge that Bitcoin is a legitimate currency, right? And once again, unreportable and non-taxable. This type of rhetoric getting in here, this is where this gets really exciting here in the United States. Will we ever get this passed? Well, I'm not going to be holding my breath, but let's have this conversation. Number 4, I will also sign an executive order directing the IRS to treat Bitcoin as an eligible asset for 1031 exchange into real property. See, this is where you're seeing the states are making gold and silver legal tender. This is where I've said they have the potential to make these cryptocurrencies legal tender, make a Bitcoin, make an XRP legal tender. This is a shift in this conversation where, remember, crypto was only bad, it was only criminal, and you have the likes of Elizabeth Warren that are still trying to preach that, and it's just so stupid that they've taken this stance. But nonetheless, the rest of folks that have common sense, and even folks that were anti-crypto, sponsored the Bitcoin ban bill, they've now pulled their votes. We talked about that. Senator Marshall, I believe it was, pulled his vote, his or her vote on the Bitcoin ban bill here recently. And they're going to the White House roundtable with Brad Garlinghouse and others, leading, industry leaders. And they're saying, hey, we were wrong. We were wrong about this crypto thing. How do we get this right? Brad Garlinghouse, can you help us out? Anthony Scaramucci, can you help us out? Mark Cuban, can you help us out? And so now here we are. And once again, the Bitcoin conference, I'm glad they're having a good time. Of course, we knew Michael Saylor was going to say something crazy. How you guys let me know, how high of a price prediction did you think that Michael Saylor was going to throw out at this Bitcoin conference? If you would have guessed, and this is a prediction for 2045. If you would have said $1 million, too low, 10 million, too low, 25 million, way too low, he came in at a $49 million Bitcoin prediction by 2045. And you know what's fascinating is he's a very smart guy. His presentation was actually pretty good. I started to listen to the first about 10, 15 minutes of it. And with many of the Bitcoin purists and maximalists, I actually agree with them on, their whole thesis about the dollar and the destruction of the dollar and preserving capital and this new digital money being a way to make capital actually preserved, make it more liquid, and to make it more transparent. Yeah, we're all here for it. This is a great idea, right? The original white paper by Satoshi was a great idea. And what spawned into the space is fantastic. It's not just the Bitcoin world like some of these guys want to suggest, right? Michael Saylor's he's a Bitcoiner, right, through and through, and he thinks that everything else is crap, as many of them do. But nonetheless, I wanted to show you guys, God forbid, here we are in the XRP community and we say that XRP is going to go to $5. God forbid we say XRP is going to go to $50. Oh my gosh, we're a delusional cult that says it's going to 589. But Michael Saylor can, show us 49 million by his math, by his justification. And I think he's a smart guy. You may end up being, he may save his reputation because he actually was one of the biggest losers during the great financial crisis and during the dot-com bubble as well in the 2000s. So he has a chance to save his reputation if the Bitcoin play works out for him. But I just find it hilarious that at the Bitcoin conference, they're allowed to talk about 49 million XRP or 49 million Bitcoin, everybody cheers. But God forbid we call anything, XRP anything besides a poop coin. Now, speaking of that, here's where we're at with these Wall Street guys. These Wall Street guys are showing up to the Bitcoin conference to hang out with the kids, to have some fun. We got our good friend Robbie Mitchnick on stage on the far left. But this is 108 billion Van Eck CEO says he owns way over 30% of his portfolio in Bitcoin. See, the flip to the other side, where these guys weren't shilling Bitcoin and cryptocurrency at all. And now they're throwing out the most absurd predictions, right? Now they're saying, oh, we're allocated 30% into Bitcoin. This was a thing where it was pulling teeth to get them to admit that they were going to allocate 1%, right? Oh, I've dipped my toes in. Oh, my son taught me how to buy some of this crypto. Now they're like the biggest shills talking about these crazy price predictions. And now they admit that they've gone over 30% of their portfolio. 1/3 of their portfolio is in Bitcoin. See, guys, remember, what's good for Bitcoin is good for crypto. It's good for XRP. So these guys, once again, they're going 30% into Bitcoin. They cannot help themselves. They're going to be putting money into these other assets. You heard Robbie Mitchnick speak on stage. There's clips being shared around right now of how there's not demand for anything other than Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. And what I'm going to show you guys here next is this is James Seyfert, who is the Bloomberg analyst who's been updating a lot of us on a lot of the ETF information has been shared by him. And he was interviewing head of digital assets for BlackRock, Robbie Mitchnick. And of course, we all know Robbie so well because he did a stint. He was just there for a brief summer at Ripple, but it was a brief stop before he went to go head up digital assets at BlackRock. And then the information that we now have is that Larry Fink was basically given the Bitcoiners would say the orange pill. But basically, he was given the crypto pill by Robbie Mitchnick. Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, was. And that's where Larry Fink went from calling it something silly to now they have the largest ETF, right, for Bitcoin. And they're going to have multiple ETFs, by the way. And so I'm going to play this clip here. James Seyfert taking a little jab, making a little joke at Ripple and XRP. And this is how these guys are. And language warning, by the way, I think he does call it a poop coin.
Get a background on you. Like, how did you get involved in the digital assets, Bitcoin space? What was your journey like? Personally?
Well, I started in this space in 2017, frankly, by pretty fortuitous circumstances that ultimately led me to BlackRock in August of 2018, where there was an opportunity to come in and help them figure out this whole blockchain and digital assets world. And the rest is kind of history. It's been 6 years now. It's been a pretty fun journey. Obviously, you know, as a firm, we've come a long way and built a number of solutions, not just, you know, IBIT most famously, but across crypto, stablecoins, tokenization, you know, what we've done in this space, all kind of in the name of bringing greater access for our clients.
Yeah, I noticed you left off the part where you actually worked at Ripple for a little bit. For this audience, you're a reformed shitcoiner, I guess we could say.
A reformed poop coiner. I don't know if you could have heard that because it was very quiet. So sorry, my apologies. I don't know why that clip was so quiet, but nonetheless, he says, you know, Robbie was talking about his background and he didn't mention his summer internship at Ripple, and James throws in the joke there, which was a good joke. It landed well in that crowd, and a shout out to James. He's really been providing good information on the ETFs, good sources tapped in at Bloomberg there. And so respect in that regard, 100%. We'll take that joke. We can take a joke. And this is the thing, is that, you know, it's like everybody wants to say that the XRP army gets so triggered, we get so all this and that. And it's like, no, we can take, I mean, the XRP community that I know, we can take it. We can dish it out. We can take it. We can have some fun, right? And it's because we can sit comfortably with our bag of XRP, knowing why we have such a strong conviction in it. Like, knowing that we're in it for the right reasons. We're not in it for a pump and dump, a get rich quick. We're in it because this technology will change the world, and this asset is perfectly positioned to be one of the reserves in the new financial system. I've always talked about how it's XRP, gold seem to be the best solutions, but you can also see reserves as far as the other commodities. You can also see that Bitcoin's been added to some countries' reserves already. If Robert Kennedy Jr. got elected, then we would add 4 million Bitcoin to our balance sheet. There's no chance he's going to be elected. So, you know, it's a good thing. It's a cool thing to say. It's never going to be done. And I hesitate on making that decision. But nonetheless, let's have the conversation about what is on our balance sheet. Let's talk about this conversation about if we are just printing the money, yeah, why don't we just go buy some Bitcoin? Why don't we just go buy some XRP? Now, this brings me to a super chat that I see, and I want to take some comments and questions, which I just have one more data point to share with you guys, and then I want to get into Q&A. But the conversation about adding XRP to a balance sheet, adding Bitcoin, adding gold to a balance sheet. What we know right now is that the Bank for International Settlements has said that they're only going to allow up to 1% and basically 1% in Group B assets or something like that. Basically assets that aren't stable coins, no more than 1% of your tier 1 capital can be invested in these assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. Stablecoins is different, but for these assets, it's only 1%. Now, I know a lot of people are seeing that like, what the heck? I thought the BIS was going to, why are they putting a limit on the amount that the banks can hold here in digital assets? And despite, them doing this, and I think there's multiple reasons why, including the asset class is still so volatile. And the banks, the second reason that I would add is that they're already in such a bad situation with their balance sheets. Their positions are already so bad that they need to get more tier 1 capital on their balance sheets. That's the bottom line, is that the Basel III requirements that they're trying to roll out has everybody in panic. And that's why all the politicians on both sides of the aisle are pressing Jerome Powell about Basel III, requirements. Hey, Jerome, we're not ready to go Basel III yet, right? Like my bankster buddies, that are patting my pockets, they told me we're not ready to go yet. Want to make sure I press you on that, right? But the bottom line is that even 1% of the bank's assets, I mean, we're talking a lot of money, right? This is not retail coming into the space. This is the banks of the world, the central banks of the world, being to start, starting to be able to add these assets to their balance sheet. And it starts at one, and then as these asset classes stabilize out, or I should just say this asset class of crypto stabilizes out, I would suspect that they'll raise that limit. Now, outside of that, what's the CEO of these institutions doing? Well, you heard Van Eck. He's loading up a third of his portfolio in Bitcoin. You're starting to see more and more of these guys, and they're front running a move. I think they're going to be rewarded handsomely, just like ourselves. But Dennis, I want to say thank you for the super chat. He says, I have reason to believe there is a plan for the U.S. government to buy Ripple based on negotiated equity plus escrow XRP price, buying back equity, linked to Tiny. Okay, here's the deal. Link2 just had a call about PolySign, which is very interesting. The details of that cannot be shared. And so here's the deal. We're still waiting to get updated on PolySign further. But the reason, just the fact that you brought up Link2 kind of made me think about that. Right now, Ripple is available on Link2, the equity for the company. What's interesting, though, is to watch how much Ripple is buying back. They're conducted about $1.4 billion worth of their own share buybacks just within like the past year or so. And right now, we're watching as this supply that Ripple has of both XRP and their own equity has them so well positioned. Like I said, while all the other banks are going down, having issues, aren't reliable, Ripple has a 10-year track record of like, hey, our system gets updated on the fly. Our validators update on the fly. Yes, we've ran into a couple bugs along the way, but nothing that brought down the entire network. We've never had to shut down the network and then reboot it, other than when Jed McCaleb was like basically the only person validating the network. There was, in the very beginning, there's a Genesis deal. Of course, Jed McCaleb's involved. Funny, strange coincidence. Jed McCaleb's involved, and it's the one issue that the XRP ledger's ever had with some, I think it was a missing ledger or something like that. But nonetheless, that was back when basically he was the only one running the network himself. Other than that, Ripple's, touting a network here that has 10 plus years of uptime, while all of these banks are having issues with their systems, but they're also struggling to find liquidity. And they also have terrible balance sheets. And they have clients and customers like us that are pulling their assets out. Now, as far as a buyback of XRP, as far as that conversation goes, I've just wanted to have my defense ready. And that's why I've enjoyed having conversations with my good friend Jimmy Valley and others that have been part of a group who wanted to defend ourselves, who wanted to protect ourselves, who wanted to have an insurance policy, who wanted to come out and openly state that we believe through Robbie Mitchnick's model, who's now head of digital assets, teaching Larry Fink about crypto, using Larry Fink's crypto head of digital assets. His model takes XRP to a higher price. So at the bare minimum, we can establish that. And we think it might be even worth a lot more. We think it might be worth a lot more. And we're coming out and making that claim so that if the government, the same government, by the way, that already set a precedent back in the 1930s of confiscating the gold and then setting it at a higher price. And then later in 1971, removing that backing in the middle of the night, right? August 15th, 1971. Folks, this is why we had those conversations. This is why I still have my red folder. This is why we're still waiting for the Ripple lawsuit to conclude and see what happens. The damages done to our community are massive. The argument on do we have a case to be made? We do, absolutely. And this is why the evidence is being collected, and this is why we're keeping our foot down on the pedal. This is why we're still talking about, hey, the SEC needs to be held accountable. We've given a free pass. We've had manipulation. We've had fraud. And we're literally driving the guys and gals that are trying to do things the right way out of the country. This is what we're doing. And as far as, the possibility of that even happening, it's far-fetched, it's unlikely, but you can't say that our government's never done it. You can't say that our government's never done it. Now, people outside the U.S. might think that we're just crazy Americans, but hey, we are crazy Americans, and our government's even more crazy. Just look at what they're doing. Just look at the situation of our Federal Reserve and our government's debt combined. The balance sheet that the Fed has accumulated to backstop our economy, and then the deficit in the balance sheet of our U.S. government. 35 trillion in debt, 100 trillion plus of unfunded liabilities. Do they have a need to acquire an asset low and write it up to a higher price? I don't know. Does 2 + 2 = 4? Does 35 trillion plus 100 trillion equal a government that's bust? Yeah. Does a balance sheet for the Federal Reserve that got taken up to about $10 trillion during the last few years equal a backstop of our entire economy? Yes. On top of that, the PPP loans, the stimulus, the forbearance, the student loan forgiveness, and everything else added on top of that? Yes. This is why we're hedged. This is why we have our insurance. This is why we're speaking out. Like I said, if Elizabeth Warren had her way, we wouldn't be able to self-custody our silver. We wouldn't be able to self-custody our gold. We wouldn't be able to use anything besides US dollar CBDC or US dollar derivatives. Maybe, just maybe, Elizabeth Warren will allow us to have some stable coins go through. But she'll probably say that Ripples isn't allowed because that's going to take profit margin away from the bankster buddies like JP Morgan, who are going to issue their own stable coins. I think the ultimate play is for private issued stablecoins, just like we have a private Federal Reserve. We already have privately issued money. That's the whole joke about this situation, is that we already have privately issued money by a central bank entity that has nothing to do with the United States government. Now, what's interesting is talking about executive orders, right? Robert Kennedy Jr. laying out 4 executive orders that he would lay out, making Bitcoin and crypto basically legal tender. I'd be interested to watch the clip too and see if he said just Bitcoin or crypto. Now, I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Let's go Q&A, but I got a question. I got a question for you guys here tonight. What do you think Trump's going to say tomorrow? Do you actually think that he's going to say that we're going to make a Bitcoin strategic reserve strategy? I think there's no way in hell. Excuse my language. There's no way that he's going to say we're adding Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. However, Robert Kennedy really warmed up the stage as far as having that conversation about what we do, deem to be legal tender. And as I've been saying, the states have already been forcing this issue. We have over 30, I think over 40 states now at this point that have made gold and silver legal tender. And Robert Kennedy saying he wants to make it untrackable, unrecordable, or what's the term that he used? That's improper English. Unreportable transactions. Unreportable. That's massive. Right? Because imagine if that gets done for gold. Imagine if that gets done for silver, XRP, Bitcoin, and cryptos. Pure commodity cryptos. But what do you guys think that Trump's going to say tomorrow on stage at this Bitcoin conference? Because I was thinking, man, it would be so funny if he trolled them and just said that he thinks we need to actually back it by gold. Appreciate the invite, guys, but actually I think that gold is the way. I think that he's going to hammer the point on Elizabeth Warren. I think he's going to hammer some points about the freedom to self-custody. I think he's going to really nail down on those talking points. I don't expect him to say that, Bitcoin should add to be a strategic reserve, but maybe he'll flirt it out there, right? Maybe he'll, and this is what I would expect, is he'll say something along the lines of, we should, consider different options for our strategic reserve. We should consider different options. That's what I'm looking to hear. And the best thing for him to do would be to mention gold as well, too. Because we already know that gold is there. As much as folks want to say it's an old relic of the past, there's a reason why the central banks are still stacking it at a pace that we haven't seen in 50 plus years. And so let's do both, right? This is where, for us, for me, I don't want to I'm not an XRP tribalist who thinks that XRP is the only one and the only thing and the only solution. That's not the case. I want to see us put gold on the balance sheet. I want to see us put XRP on the balance sheet. We have a use case for both. We have an advantage for both. I want to see lower tax. I'd love to see 1031 tax exchange for these types of assets to real property, because that's all it is real property. If we actually get down to it, the way that it's taxed now by the IRS, tax code, is they're basically just taxing it as real property. So to make it a 1031 taxable exchange, I mean, by the IRS code as it stands now, that would be the thing to do. Now, talking about the IRS code, well, that's a whole other can of worms, isn't it? Talking about the IRS in it all is a different situation, isn't it? And so it's going to be very, very interesting. Now, if Trump comments on the Bitcoin that they've confiscated, that would be an interesting one too, because RFK Jr. says that we would basically become hodlers of that Bitcoin. Now, that would get interesting if Trump acknowledged that, right? But I'm not expecting it, to be honest with you guys. I'm expecting pro-freedom, hitting a couple points on Elizabeth Warren, on the right to self-custody, on the right to make this legal tender. But here's the whole thing. How can you be having this conversation with where we're at right now and not acknowledge XRP? When XRP is the only digital asset that's gotten the level of clarity in the United States that it has, right? It's like Bitcoin's the only one that really is clear. And then other than that, it's just XRP. And how can you avoid this conversation with the SEC going after and attacking everybody? And one of the few, there's a few other crypto companies that have been victorious over the SEC, right? The debt box case was another one where the SEC got completely exposed and the lawyers completely lied and got exposed and called out by the judge and sanctioned. That was just another day at the SEC. But this Ripple case is one that you cannot dismiss. It's one that you cannot not mention. And that's why at the Bitcoin conference, if XRP was a nothing burger, if it was a dead coin, if it wasn't going to do anything, if it wasn't a threat, they wouldn't even acknowledge it, right? They're not mentioning these other coins. They're making general jokes about hating on, some of the the people that don't have Bitcoin, right? The no coiners. They make fun of, other cryptos, and Bitcoin's the only one. But why do they have to target and specifically call out XRP every single time? Every single time. Find it very funny. But with that being said, I want to get into the Q&A. You guys have dropped some comments. Dennis has dropped another super chat. Appreciate you. Lummus asked him to mention crypto regulations in Bitcoin. Yeah. And that's just it. Is you're about to see his policy on crypto and on sound money, I think, really come out tomorrow. I'm looking forward to this. And I am watching. Make sure you guys are ready for this. We could see another pump leading up to his speech. We kind of did today, from 63,000 yesterday to 68,000, pumping 5,000 in 24 hours. Don't forget how quickly this cryptocurrency space can move, right? On a percentage basis, it's not that incredible for Bitcoin, but compared to like the stock market and traditional finance, these moves for Bitcoin are massive, right? And watch for the pump leading up to his speech, but I firmly believe that we will be correcting by the time he takes the stage or shortly thereafter. All right, comments, questions, what do we got? What are we working with? U.S. government buying Ripple solves BIS Tier 1 bank balance sheet problem and helps cut the U.S. deficit like gold would. Dennis, spot on 100%. It's the best answer that I can find. I've been yet to find a better answer. Gold plays a similar role. But yeah, I've been yet to find a better answer. Silver will do better than gold, I believe, by 50 times plus. Yeah, it's going to be pretty incredible to watch silver. Definitely, I think, in my opinion, it is going to outperform gold. Yep. Exactly. Yep. He's going to say what he thinks the Bitcoin people want to hear for votes. He's being paid to speak to them. Why not take advantage for some PR? And that's just a great move here. Imminent, hours, weeks, months, or years. Well, see, this is what's interesting. Let me show you guys XRP. Is that XRP still holding it? Now, gosh darn it. Darn it. Doesn't really matter because we're still in bullish posture. But we were above 60 cents just about an hour ago. Just about an hour or two ago when I was getting ready to go live, I was getting the show ready to go. We were above 60 cents. But still, I mean, we're at 59 and a half. And as I was saying in the update earlier today, when we went down to 58 and a half, and then yesterday, 58 and a half again, right? We're building a base and we're building more bullish posture. The more that we bounce off of this level, the more bullish this gets. While the rest of the space, right, was down this week, XRP made a significant move and it's been holding here. Even on the days when the market was down, XRP was holding, and it's just really strong in this position right now at the 58 cent level. Obviously 60 cents is a big psychological number and we want to see it hold, but anything above, this 57, 58 range keeps us in this bullish posture, and you can see us tightening up this trend that we've been trading in over the past couple weeks. Since, basically 16th and the 17th, right? For the past 10 days or so, we've been consolidating in this range despite the hits that the rest of the cryptocurrency space took, like 13% for ETH. For Bitcoin, had a big correction down to 63 and a half, but here it goes back up to 68. I think it's setting a double top before we do get a correction. And that's why I'm interested to see what happens during this correction that's coming up for the broader cryptocurrency space, because XRP is remaining strong. I mean, another wick to 54, 55. Yeah, I could see something like that, right? But we've already had the big back tests off this level this year. This is XRP daily chart. And see, we've already bounced off this level a couple times. Really ready to go. So as far as the bull run being imminent, the reason why I titled it this session that title was Kim.com put out this tweet and he said the crypto bull run is imminent. And so I said, let's include XRP. Let's specifically mention XRP. And I'm going to title this session XRP Bull Run Imminent. Because of everything that I've laid out in this episode here today, it's undeniable the momentum is in our favor. The liquidity is coming in. The additional ETF that we just got for ETH is incredibly bullish. The correction that we had, buy the rumor, sell the news for Ethereum, was expected. Exactly as expected. And I don't think we're done. Bitcoin did 20%. I think the ETH might do worse. Bitcoin pumped more leading up to the ETF than Ethereum did. And Ethereum's about to dump more than Bitcoin did, which I think is just showing the strength of the Bitcoin narrative right now. Bitcoin narrative is peaking out at this Bitcoin conference. And then we're watching for other black swan events to occur, other market correction to occur in the broader stocks and equity markets between now and this election. And I believe that crypto will take a hit with it. But the Band-Aid gets ripped off in crypto. It doesn't move as slow as the traditional markets. It doesn't lag out over 1 to 2 years for real estate, right? These other markets lag by years. The stock market lags by quarters and months easily. For crypto, we're trading with 100x leverage, so we just get wrecked, we rip off the Band-Aid, and then we start pumping again. So that's why, I still just have remained liquid. I still am just sitting on my cash. Well, when these opportunities do come here and there, I'm taking them. I didn't get the last dip of XRP down to 38 cents. I have FOMO because of that. But 90% of my bag is picked up at prices lower than that already. So I'm a very happy camper. And I've already bought so many dips, right? Right now, I'm staying liquid so I can be flexible for what we're about to go through. Silver just got hit along with gold. If you guys need gold and silver, it's at my website, ZachRector.com. For those of you guys that got a 401k and you're looking for somebody to help roll over a 401k, at least a portion of your 401k into gold or silver, we got that covered there at my website. Just hit the precious metals tab and let us know. We also can get it delivered directly to your door. Miles Franklin, good friend Andy Scheckman, him and his team, they'll hook you up. They're beating it up right now. and they're signaling. Look at Dr. Copper right now, traded down for about 10 days. That's a recession warning. GDP came out this week hot. Inflation cooled, still more than expectations, but it's cooling. And so this is all seen as positive because the Fed's going to be able to cut rates and everybody thinks that everything's going to be fine and they still want to believe in a soft landing. The absolute opposite's going to occur. We're going to get hit. We already did. We were a quarter inch away from the biggest black swan since 9/11. The biggest black swan since 9/11 almost occurred about 2 weeks ago, quarter inch away. But they're not done. We're not through. We still have 3 months to go for this election. And what the markets forget, they refuse to go back and look at history, is that we're trading in these markets with a rotation out of the big tech stocks like the Magnificent Seven, Nvidia, and others, and we're rotating into small micro caps. And this is a rotation that's commonly seen at the end of these bubbles that are going burst. Just like the lack of breadth that we had before, where all of the capital was located in the Magnificent Seven, now it's expanding out. Now we're getting more breadth, but this is what happens right before the bubble goes burst when it's been overextended, just like it was in the Great Financial Crisis and in the dot-com bubble. This time around, it's not the dot-com, it's AI and it's crypto. The crypto run and the AI run in that story isn't done, right? What I think really spurs this on is we correct, we get hit, but then no matter who gets elected, more money's coming in, more investments coming in, and the push, and AI starts to mature even further, and blockchain's allowed to mature and actually blossom, right? We haven't even been allowed to blossom at all in the United States because of the lack of regulations. That's soon coming to an end. Johnny Meg Sachs in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Zach, will you sell the XRP pumps and buy the corrections? Yes. Yep. Zach, you have lulled my friend right to sleep on my couch. Haha, not into crypto, obviously. Shannon, honestly, if I listen to myself playing it back, I put myself to sleep sometimes too. I don't know if it's, I like to think it's because my voice is soothing, but I also, I don't, whatever it is, I put myself to sleep too. I also put my kids to sleep too. So yeah. Appreciate your support though. Good to see you. In my opinion, CrowdStrike failure, not an accident. Dennis, good point. Good point. You got to look at what their incentives are. John, I want to answer your question. Yeah, so for me, I am going to be trading a small portion of my XRP this bull run, right? The thing about it is that I'm not doing much just market trading. I'm not really doing any trading at all right now. But I can't trade futures. But as far as spot trading goes, I don't really like to do much spot trading, but I will be taking profits on all of my cryptos, including XRP this bull run, right? Because these are swing trades that we've been in for years now. By the way, I did actually realize that I did add back to my algo bag. We've been in this moment for so long that I forget sometimes that I have picked up some of these cryptos along the way. So I did pick up a small bag of algo, but I don't have 50 different cryptos, guys. I have like a dozen. Some of those are XRP Ledger tokens. And other than that, I mean, I have next to none Bitcoin. The only Bitcoin that I get is when people use my referrals for my exchanges. I get paid in Bitcoin, right? And then most of the time I just dump it into XRP or something else. But that's the only Bitcoin that I ever end up having on my in my portfolio. And by the way, I do have all of the exchanges and wallets listed at zachrector.com. And make sure you guys check those out if you guys are looking to get a new exchange or a new wallet. But when it comes to this portfolio that I've built, I have strong convictions, obviously, right, in XRP. But in a lot of these other cryptos, I don't have enough conviction to hodl 100% of my bag. And I even plan on selling off all of my XLM, right? And the main reason too why I don't worry about selling these other assets is I'm not worried about being able to get them back. I have serious concerns, and probably they're too much, but I have concerns about not being able to get XRP in the future. We have PTSD from what we've gone through with all of the exchanges delisting XRP. That I worry about 100% selling all of my XRP and then trying to trade and play with it. So I've never really played with too much of my XRP at all. I've just traded other coins and traded Bitcoin to get more XRP. But this bull run, I'm selling everything. And ideally, that's my strategy, is to sell everything except the one that I will hold is XRP. I'm trying to think. There's probably a couple other XRP Ledger tokens that I might hold, like the assets that I've added to the AMM. I've added Magnetic. I've added Casino Coin. I have Reaper. I'll probably still hold all those coins. I'm also looking forward to supporting more XRP Ledger projects going forward. You know, I want to support all these guys that, but they have to be building something real. Like if you're building a silly project, a little NFT with no utility, like I'm all for the community building and all of that, but I guess that the difference is supporting XRP Ledger builders versus actually making an investment. Some of these, I'm just like, man, that's how I felt with the AMM. Is I was like, I don't even really care too much about getting the gains. Like, it's kind of cool, and I'm hopeful that something trickles in. But I also just want to support liquidity on the XRP Ledger. So take my Casino Coin, take some XRP. I'll add to that liquidity pool. Take my XRP. Take my Magnetic. I'll add to that liquidity pool. And I'm looking to add to others as well. Yeah. Guys, keep on dropping those comments, questions down below, guys. Appreciate you. Your title states XRP. Why are we talking about Bitcoin so much? Well, it's the Bitcoin conference, and we got Trump speaking there tomorrow. We have RFK that talked about it today. So it's just a lot of Bitcoin news coming out right now. And as I said at the very start of this episode, as I go through all this, what's good for Bitcoin is good for XRP. What's good for Bitcoin is good for other utility cryptos, other cryptos that are solving real problems. Now, what's good for this space does not mean that it's good for the meme coins and the Mickey Mouse activity in the cryptocurrency space. That's the difference. So that's why I covered a lot of Bitcoin, a lot of the Bitcoin conference here today. Yeah. I lost all my XRP in a boating accident. Exactly. Yeah, it's so unfortunate how many of us have lost our XRP in a boating accident, isn't it? That's the long-term plan is to take out loans against my XRP. You guys have to understand though, I really don't trust like anybody. I don't really trust any of these platforms yet. As far as the ones that are offering DeFi, like I'm very wary. As far as like, here's 50% of my XRP portfolio. Let's do a loan, and you can take 50% of my XRP. I'm not ready to do that yet with anybody. Now, there's platforms that are starting to come out, and I think there's going to be a rush to offer these types of services. You're starting to see how well this is growing. This DeFi has been exploding ever since 2022. It's just been growing rapidly, and the XRP ledgers finally got it. It's taken us years. It's taken us over a decade to get the real utility, right? And DeFi utility. Now, we've had the DEX since 2013, but we really haven't activated it and started using it in a major way. The AMM is the start of that. We're going to see institutions come in, I think, then they're going to start moving some real flows on this ledger as well. But this is not going to happen until these institutions can step in and feel comfortable allocating and using DLT technology. And they're going to be limited by the BIS, as I covered earlier in the show, they can only invest 1% of their tier 1 capital in cryptocurrency. I just got on. Did any news come out of the SEC versus Ripple case? Well, this is very important. I'm glad you mentioned this because there's so much misinformation about the XRP SEC meeting yesterday. There was no meeting. there was a meeting that the SEC had internally, but we don't have any information confirming that they met with Ripple. That was pure speculation. And it happens every single month where the SEC has closed door meetings. It's called the Sunshine Act. And it's where the SEC has to publicly disclose that they're meeting to discuss ongoing cases and litigation and settlements. So they put this out publicly every month, but then scammers and clickbaiters take advantage of it, and they try to say, oh, XRP or, Ripple's meeting with the SEC tomorrow. No, they're not. They're not. And so it's unfortunate. It's more misinformation. Folks are trying to take advantage of the XRP community, and it's a bad look, right? And it's just a lie. But, I hope that I can clarify that for everybody that thought that there was a meeting yesterday. There was not. There was an internal meeting at the SEC, just like they have every single month. It's really unfortunate that this keeps on it keeps on happening as far as this type of misinformation. Do a poll. Will XRP pump or sideways action tomorrow? I've never done a poll. That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it? Can we do a poll? Is Chad in the house still? Maybe Chad can do the poll. Oh, here's a poll. How fun. Will XRP pump tomorrow? Let's see what everybody says. We have Bitcoin, the Bitcoin conference, Trump speaking. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I think that we could see one more pump. Bitcoin could push up towards about 70K. But I think that this is it for Bitcoin before it does correct. Why don't we hear from Deaton like the good old days? Yeah, this is the thing. There hasn't been much in the lawsuit to update on. So this is why we haven't been hearing from Jeremy Hogan. This is why we haven't been hearing from John Deaton, is just because the case, we're all waiting for Judge Shores to give us the final ruling, and then this case is concluding. Why don't you talk about ICP? Yeah, ICP, I think was centralized. I haven't taken a serious enough look at it to comment on it further. But when I originally looked into it, it looked like it was actually centralized, and it got heavily pumped and dumped. I haven't updated myself on what's taking place in the community ever since. I do see that the community is pretty strong. There's a good community there. So that's one data point that I will comment on. Other than that, I'm not in a position to comment on ICP. The goals that they were shooting for were very lofty. When I looked at their team, I wasn't overly impressed, but like I said, I don't have enough to comment on it right now. I'm getting about $1 a day for my Meg XRP AMM with only about 1,400. Yeah, see, this is the thing. Some of these pools had really grown and expanded, and now they're fluctuating, right? These are still very new, growing liquidity pools. And so the APY that you're going to get on them is going to adjust. The APR, I should say, is going to be adjusting constantly. And so what you're seeing on a lot of these is the average over the past 7 days. And then some of them, I think they're predicting the future projections as well. The question is, will Ripple get an SEC appeal? Yeah, I mean, the SEC can appeal. I don't think that it's likely, though, in this case, just because the precedent that really, was set forward by Judge Torres, it was really bulletproof. And the fact that she disregarded the interlocutory appeal completely as well, too, tells me that she feels very sound in that ruling. And I think that judges around the country are going to look at this ruling and how meticulous she was in laying out the facts about XRP, about the different circumstances on how it was sold. And the question before was, were these investment contracts? And she made it very clear that everything on the secondary market wasn't, right? And the XRP in and of itself was not. But that the only sales that was Ripple's sales to institutional investors. So she was very precise, very, very tight scope in this ruling from Judge Torres originally last year. And then as far as the slap on the wrist fine that I expect, there's nothing really to appeal there. The SEC knows very well that, it's not justified. What do they want? 1 billion? 2 billion? They want about 2 billion in fines. That's right. Yeah. 2 billion is what they're seeking in fines. All right. How many votes do we got? We got 83 votes on will XRP pump tomorrow. Overwhelming support. Oh, wait. No, we don't. Oh, no, we don't. See, this is how I know my community's smart, though. Because we've been talking about this. Even if we do get a little bump, a little Trump bump leading up to the conference speech, we expect the market to correct. See, this is where you guys are tapped in. This is where you guys get it. As much as we love XRP and they call us crazy XRP guys, we get it. We're still trading with the market. But as I laid out in the most recent whiteboard video, at any moment that case can settle. And then we have a list of other catalysts for XRP that are inevitable, that will happen, that we can say with 100% certainty. How imminent are they? Well, might not be tomorrow, might not be next week, but it's coming. I mean, guys, we're already into August. We're getting into prime time. Okay, I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to take a sip of my adult beverage before I do so, though. When are we going to get the ruling from Judge Torres? Let's. Okay, I'm going to close out this poll and we're going to do another poll. Let's do another poll. Why won't it let me start a poll? Did I maximize how many polls I can do at once? Or is it because the other poll is still live? Yeah, it was. The other poll is still live. When will Torres give the final ruling? This is what we've been waiting for right here. This is what I want to know from you guys here as we wrap up this session tonight. I'll still take some more questions and comments. Drop them down below. I'm gonna lay down my prediction here. Cheers for everyone for being here tonight with us. I appreciate you guys. When will Judge Torres give the final ruling? Will it be before September or after September? This is what we're waiting for. Oh boy, this is moving. This poll is moving quick. But while you guys are at it too, can you make sure you like this video for me? Really does help us out. Now, before September, I actually meant to do before October because I think that we will get a ruling before October. I do believe that we will get a ruling before October. The old riddle, may September shine like gold on December or whatever it was, right? I just have a feeling. I have a very funny feeling that we're going to get the ruling before September ends. Before September ends. So before September would be here this next month in August. There are, we're right in that time frame. We're right there where it can happen any day now. But I firmly believe, and I'm willing to go out here and predict, that we're going to get this ruling before the end of September. Now, I'm also saying that because my birthday's in September, and that would be a great birthday present. This is a very tight poll. We got before September's at 49%, after September's at 51%. 67 votes. Man, I should have been doing more polls this whole time. The polls are kind of fun. Any other final comments, questions? If you guys are looking to get tapped in, we got our Discord weekly call tomorrow morning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. If you're looking to get tapped in, head to ZachRector.com. You sign up through Patreon to get access to Discord. We would love to have you in that conversation. It's a great opportunity to get intimate with myself and other like-minded individuals on these topics, discussions, business, investments, and everything else that we can't talk about here. And it's a great time, great community. And all of my additional community resources are available at ZachRector.com. And I just want to say thank you guys, no matter what it is. Whether you like this video, whether you go, you sign up for the Patreon to support us, whether you use our resources, whether you just retweet out my comment or my posts, I really do appreciate your support. We are in this together. Our community is growing rapidly right now. And I think that there's just so much momentum, so much great things that are coming our way. I wake up every single day excited to get in here, get in the office, and get to work for you guys every single day. I love what I'm doing right now, and I really appreciate your support and the fact that so many of you guys appreciate my work, my updates, and are willing to support me in my efforts. Really does mean the world. Any thoughts on strategies is going into this vehicle? Well, yeah, XRP is in my crypto Roth IRA. A lot of people rolled over their Roth IRAs into cryptocurrencies now that these platforms have made it available. I'm a big fan. I'm a huge fan of the alternatives, right? This is why I've partnered up with somebody that can help you roll over your 401k to gold and silver. But then I should add a partner that can help us roll over a 401k to cryptocurrency as well, because I think it's a great option, right? I like the option is if your employer will match your 401k contribution, you might as well take advantage of it. And ideally, you can get it eventually put into some sort of self-directed IRA, Roth IRA, maybe that you can actually direct yourself, or, you just maintain a relationship with your money manager, and hopefully you can talk some sense into them, so that you're not having the, third worst year ever for the 60-40 portfolio just happened, right? The worst year ever for bonds. And so we want to be working with a money manager that's going to work with us and see the opportunities that we see. And, the beautiful thing is that folks are now going to be able to invest their Roth IRAs, their 401ks in precious metals, in private equity, in cryptocurrency. All of this is becoming available now. I'm all here for it. The thing that I also love too is that folks don't have to take the penalty when you roll it over into a qualifying account. Instead of cashing out and taking the penalty and that hit, sometimes that's your only option. Sometimes you have to do that. In fact, the withdrawals for financial stress withdrawals, that's not the actual term. I forget what it is, but basically you guys know what I'm saying. The people that are having to take withdrawals from their 401ks because of financial stress has spiked, actually. But the beautiful thing is that if you can, roll over your 401k into private equity, into precious metals, into crypto, you're not going to take that penalty. You're not going to get hit on those taxes, and you'll be able to move into, hopefully you're in a tax favored account as well. And if your employer is going to match, I think it's just a no-brainer. Other than that, I have no plans for a 401k myself. I've thought about a Roth IRA, but it's kind of limited in scope on how much you can actually take advantage of. There's a limit on how much you can contribute to it. So it's something I should probably have one. But yeah. Why on earth is Judge Torres delaying the ruling? Here's the thing. this is going to be a very important ruling, and I think that she wants to make sure that it's absolutely dialed in and that there's no, chance of appeal. There's no, it's going to be a solid ruling with a lot of eyeballs on it. And I think Judge Torres has seen that. I mean, just remember what happened when the case hearing was happening, all these different hearings that we were having in the courtroom. The XRP community was calling in, and we were all filling up the phones. We literally were like crashing their system when it came to calling into the courts. Do you think that if the Ripple ruling comes way before Sol ETF, will XRP ETF take cuts ahead of Sol? Okay, let me reread that question. Do you think if the Ripple ruling comes way before Sol ETF, will XRP ETF take cuts ahead of? Oh, okay, right. Will it come before the Solana ETF? We have to surpass Solana for volume and demand, and we've already been passing them for volume on a couple different exchanges, and so that has been happening. And so we definitely want to watch out for that. If yeah, sorry, I don't know why my computer back there is glitching out on me. Yeah, Dennis, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, so Solana, we have to pass them on volume, and then we have to pass them on demand if we're going to come next. Like I said, we've already been passing them on volume on a few days here in the past week. And so it's going to be interesting to see if XRP can actually surpass it once again and sustain that. This bull run, if XRP is actually going to partake in it, like we suspect it will, I think that we have a good chance of actually making that happen, right? Now, whether it'll come first or after Solana, I don't really think ultimately it's going to matter. I think that it's going to be a huge hit. I think that the XRP ETF is inevitable, and I think that XRP is also going to be included in baskets of ETFs as well. So, all of these ETFs, it's not just the Bitcoin, it's not just the Ethereum. There's going to be so many more to come, and it's all bullish for this space. All right, the votes have flipped. Now we have 115 votes. Will Torres give the final ruling before September or after September? 57% say before, 43% say after. Okay. We'll see. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up this session. It's been a fun Friday Night Live. Really do appreciate all your support. Like I said, everything's at ZachRector.com. I couldn't do it without you guys. And we will see you guys in the Discord community tomorrow morning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. God bless you all. Thank you so much.